Welcome to the G Gym-Based Assessment. For this assessment, you are going to be testing out your strength on the 7 primal movements using gym-based equipment. So what that's going to entail is a barbell and a squat rack. We'll also be using some dumbbells for some particular exercises, and we'll also be using some dumbbells for some exercises as well. If you are performing this assessment, I want to send you a huge congrats, because it means you are either an intermediate moving up to an advanced level trainee, or you are an advanced level trainee, and you've likely spent some time and some years working on building strength and gained a whole host of benefits from it. I think, and I know, you are going to love this assessment. This is an assessment that I would do with the majority of my in-person training clients when I used to be an in-person trainer, and also to a lot of the athletes that I train. The way this assessment is going to work is, for each exercise, there's going to be a demonstration video. Watch that demonstration video in its entirety. From there, you're going to perform 3 sets of that exercise. Pause the video, perform your 3 sets. 1 light set, 1 moderate weight set, 1 heavy set. Fill out the worksheet as you go. Once you're done with that exercise, you're going to move on to the next exercise, and so on and so forth until you complete the assessment. Barbell back squats. For this strength assessment, you are going to perform barbell back squats. You're going to do so in a rack. So if you have a rack, I'm outside of the rack. That's just for filming purposes. But if you have a full rack, you can do it inside. If you have a half rack, that's totally cool. The biggest thing is you're going to perform 3 sets of your squats, sets of 5. The reason why I like 5 is it's a good mid-tier rep range. You're going to test your strength, a little bit less risky than doing, say, a 3 rep max or a 1 rep max, but less gassing than, say, doing 8, 10, or even 12 reps, so that you'll still have some stuff in the tank for the other parts of your assessment. So 5 reps on that heavy set. That third one, you just want to make sure you're super comfortable and confident in the weight that you're using. You don't want that weight to be falling off. You don't want to fail with your squats. I get asked all the time, don't you feel like someone should be there when you're squatting? Maybe, but I'm pretty confident. I'm 100% confident when I'm squatting at home and the weights that I'm using, that I can get that weight up. So with that, all of our regular squatting rules apply. For my squats, toes out anywhere from 15 to 30 degrees. As I lower, I drive my knees wide and sit back simultaneously. Drive wide, sit back. Core is engaged, nice and strong. You're going to set that bar up so it's just below shoulder height, just below your clavicles. From there, I'm going to have my hands about shoulder width apart. I'm going to step into the rack. Bar is on my back. I'm going to create a shelf by flaring my elbows back. From here, it's going to be sit back, drive the knees wide, core is braced, down, and then we come up, squeezing the glutes, driving up nice and strong. Lower down, 2, lower down, 3, like so, all the way to your 5 reps. When you're done, very important, tap, tap on the rack, tap, tap both sides, and then you know it's safe to drop that bar. With your squats, how low do you go in a squat? It's going to be different for everyone. This is where having a mirror or filming yourself when you're squatting can come in really handy. I used to do this myself all the time. As I lower down, we lower down to a point where our spine stays neutral and we're kind of at the bottom. We don't have any range of motion left. So I'm going to lower down. Spine is nice and neutral. I'm getting down to almost parallel, maybe down past parallel, whatever it is. What we want to avoid is rounding. Like so. So no rounding, no butt wink at the bottom of your squat. You stay nice and neutral, drive back up. Try and make sure you're getting full range of motion with your squats. Full range of motion is about to parallel, maybe a little bit lower. Again, spine has to stay nice and neutral, and that's going to vary based on the individual, based on the mobility you have in your lower body, and also to your body mechanics. Let's get to it. 3 sets of 5. You pause the video, 1 light set, 1 medium set, 1 heavier set. If you want to do a 4th or a 5th set, you totally can. Then we'll jump into that next exercise. Barbell Romanian deadlift's a wicked exercise to test strength in your posterior chain. What's going to happen is we're going to set up with our barbell. I like to have that barbell elevated anywhere from sort of knees to sort of where your hands drop. From there, I'm going to grab that barbell shoulder width apart, spine nice and neutral as I lift it off. From here, 3 things I think about before I perform my deadlift going down is head up, shoulders back, and then we stick our butt out. head up, shoulders back, stick my butt up. What that's gonna do is it's gonna make sure my spine stays nice and neutral throughout the lowering phase of that deadlift. The other thing that's very important is as I lower down, I keep that bar close to my body the entire time. What we want to try and avoid is any type of, the further that bar comes out, the harder it's going to be on our lower back. The closer it is, nice and safe, and we place all that force where we want it, hamstrings and glutes. From here, head up, shoulders back, stick my butt out, lower down, bars dragging along my thighs, my shins. I get to the bottom. Once I get to the bottom of my deadlift, I'm going to squeeze my glutes, drive forward. I squeeze my glutes and I dig my heels into the floor. So again, lower down, from here, squeeze and drive 1. Lower down and squeeze and drive 2. Once we're done, we're gonna place that bar back. Make sure that spine stays nice and neutral as you do so. You rest. You're gonna perform 3 sets, 1 light, 1 medium, 1 heavy to test your deadlift, sets of 10. With that, how low do I go in my deadlift? It's going to be based on basically the mobility you have in your hamstrings. So 2 rules of thumbs I have for clients. Rule number 1 is you feel those hamstrings lock out. So someone who's really tight, they might only get to here and then they got to drive back up. But I can go down to about right here and then I feel that tightness in my hamstrings. We lock out and we drive up. The other rule of thumb is mid shin. We don't really want to go any further past that. So once our torso gets parallel to the ground, we're not going any further past that. So if you have good range of motion, awesome. See if you can get to parallel and then you drive forward. Go for it, pause the video, do your tests, fill out your sheet. We'll move on to that next exercise. Barbell back lunges. For this assessment test, you are going to do 3 sets of 10 per side barbell back lunges. What I recommend is always taking a break in between legs, but if you want to get through it, you totally can. Why 10 reps? Because if you go somewhere lower, like let's say 5 reps, like we did for our back squats, that's where stability really comes into play. And I just find it's a little less risky to do sets of 10 if you're self-assessing. So it's a great way to get that self-assessment in, test your lunges, and then from there, build on top of your strength with lunges and go back and retest. How lunges work. Front view, when I step back, feet shoulder width apart, toes pointing straight, maybe inverted just a little bit. I'm gonna step back. Most important thing, toes, knees, hips, all stay aligned. What we want to avoid is having our front foot pointing out like so, and then our knee collapses in and then our hip comes outward. That's where it's going to get really tricky with your stability. It's also not going to feel great for your knees. So remember, toes, knees, hips all stay aligned. From a side angle view, we want to get back to 90-90. My back knee doesn't touch the floor. Front shin is parallel, 90 degrees at that front leg. We drive up, step back, drive up. With the barbell, we're going to rack that barbell off, step off like we did our back squats. From here, I'm going to step 1, step 2, drive and squeezing with that glute. Step 3, I perform my 10 reps. You can put it down, you don't have to. I'm gonna take a little break, anywhere from 15 to 30 seconds. I'm gonna step under, and then from here, same idea. Other side, 1. Other side, 2, just like so. So to recap, front foot points, feet shoulder width apart. As you step back, toes, knees, hips all stay aligned. Try and get to 90-90 on both sides. Pause the video, start with a light set for 10, medium set for 10, heavy set for 10. Move on to that next exercise. Barbell hip thrust strength assessment. What we're going to do is we're going to do a couple sets. 5 reps. I like 5. You could do 3 sets of 10 if you want. I like 5 because it's a really good gauge of strength, and oftentimes when I'm testing this out with clients, they're really surprised at the weight they can lift. You're going to start with a light weight. You need a barbell. You need some plates. You're going to notice these are 10-pound plates. I kept it light because I'm not trying to impress anyone here, but they're bumper plates. They're nice and high, so I can roll that bar on and off nice and easily. That is the challenge with hip thrusts. I always recommend, if you're going to do barbell hip thrusts, having some light bumper plates, because then it's easy to stack your other plates on. So without further ado, we'll get into the barbell. If you don't have that and you can't get the barbell onto your hips, then just simply perform a dumbbell hip thrust test, 1 dumbbell or 2. But with a barbell, this is how it's going to work. I want something, this is a yoga mat. You probably prefer a sponge, which you can just buy on Amazon. They're called squat sponges. I like the Iron Bowl ones, but yoga mat works fine as well. I'm going to grab, I got my bench set up here behind me, and then I'm going to wrap the yoga mat around the bar. That's going to protect my hips. I'm going to tuck my feet in. From here, with my hip thrust, feet are much like my squat, a little wider than shoulder width apart, flared out. Head is facing forward. I'm going to have my shoulder blades, the base of my shoulder blades, kind of where a bra strap would sit, on the bench. And then from here, I'm going to drive up. It's a big squeeze. We lower down to the bottom, drive up 2, lower down 3, lower down, 4, one more, lower down, 5. From there, I'm going to rest. You're going to notice that I didn't touch the barbell down to the bottom. Typically, I prefer that, but this bench is a little bit higher, so that's totally okay. You just go down to wherever you're comfortable with when lowering, and then once you can't go any further, you squeeze, you go back up, full range of motion. With my hip thrusts, talked about the feet placed. We want the knees to be around 90 degrees at the top of the thrust. We're squeezing through our glutes, core is engaged, chin is tucked. Very important. If my chin is not tucked, then I have a big arch through my lower back. Chin is tucked, glutes are squeezing, head is facing forward, lower down, drive. You're going to perform 3 sets or more if you'd like. 1 light set, 1 moderate set, add a little bit more weight, 1 heavy set to finish it off, and then from there, you're moving on to that next exercise. For the next exercise, we're going to test your pulling strength using one of my favorite exercises, a dumbbell bent over row. Pulling strength is going to test strength of your arm, strength of your upper back, and also too, strength of your core. You want to set up with a bench for this exercise, but if you don't have a bench, you can perform the same exercise with your hand propped up against, let's say, the edge of your couch, a wall, whatever it might be in this split stance position. With my bench, I'm going to place my knee down on that bench. From there, I'm going to make sure my hips are nice and square, nice and level, so I don't want to be up too high, I don't want to be down too low on that one side. Hips are nice and level. I'm going to take my hand, place it down. In a perfect world, our torso is going to be as close to parallel to the floor as possible. If your shoulder's up a little bit higher than your hips are, totally okay. You don't want to be too high and too upright like this, because now we're not working the right muscles. Could be a little harmful for the shoulder, but anywhere from sort of that flat position up to maybe about 30 degrees. With that, my hand is down, it's into the bench, nice and strong. Slight bend in my back knee, and I like to keep that heel up just a little bit. I'm going to let that dumbbell fall. I'm keeping my head up, and then we pull elbow to hip. 1, elbow to hip. 2, elbow to hip. 3, just like so. Biggest thing when you're rowing is you don't want a chicken wing row. So chicken wing row happens when we pull our elbow to our shoulder. We come up high like this, elbow comes back. It's going to look like that. I'm obviously exaggerating, but sometimes it can actually look like that. What you want is elbow to hip. So as I pull, that elbow locks into my humerus. Where I'm going to feel it is just at the bottom of my shoulder blade, also a little bit in my lat, a little bit in my arm. We pull, 1, pull, 2. So to walk you through form again, knee down, hips level, hand places down so that our torso is as close to parallel to the floor as possible. From here, I want to keep my head up and chest up a little bit, and then I'm going to pull elbow to hip. 1 and 2. What you're going to do is start with a light set, all your reps on one side, all your reps on the other side, and then a moderate set. That third set, you can push the weight a little bit more. Make sure you fill out your worksheet as you're going through that assessment so you can refer back to it as your baseline, and I will see you for the next exercise. Next up, we have dumbbell bench press. For dumbbell bench press, again, we're using our bench. If you don't have one, you can lie flat against the floor and perform what's called a floor press. All of the same rules will apply. Biggest thing when we're performing bench press, same rules apply if you're performing any pressing variation, including push-ups, is elbows stay below the shoulders. As we come down, we're going to drive those weights up. Down, drive those weights up. What we don't want to see is weights coming high where we get a lot of tension through our traps and through our shoulders. That is the most crucial thing when it comes to performing bench press properly. What you're going to do is you're going to grab a set of dumbbells. Getting into my bench press, what I like to do is I place the dumbbells just above my knees. I'm going to roll those shoulders back, keep them packed nice and tight. That's going to keep them safe. And then as I go to lie down, I'm going to press the dumbbells up using my knees. So from here, I go to lie, press up, dumbbells are above my head. It's much easier to start with the dumbbells up than it is to start down from a dead stop. So that's why I like this. From here, I'm going to lower down, elbows below the shoulders, drive up 1, lower down, elbows below the shoulders, drive up 2. You want to make sure you're getting full range of motion, so feeling that good stretch through your chest and then driving those dumbbells back together. If you want, you can have your feet up. Just make sure you don't fall off the bench. Totally okay. When I'm done, what I do is I twist those dumbbells, I hike my knees up, and then I rock forward and come back to that starting position. You can put the dumbbells down. The other very safe option is unpopular but safe is to drop the dumbbells. If you just drop them down nice and lightly, nice and easy on your shoulders, shoulders, very easy on your lower back. So you have those two options. What you're going to reiterate form, first and foremost, elbows down, we drive back up, fairly simple. Lower back, you can have a bit of an arch, totally okay, but if you prefer, you can have your feet up on the bench, and then from there, getting in and getting out, you want to make sure you're doing that as safely as possible. You're going to perform those 3 sets, 1 light, 1 moderate, 1 heavy, test it out, fill out that worksheet. I'll see you for the next exercise. All right, it is time to test our core. What we're going to do for our core is test a little bit of strength, a little bit of endurance using a plank exercise. One thing you'll see in my training programs that I'm not a big fan of, so you won't see them in my training programs, is crunches, sit-ups, twists. Any core-based exercise that causes a lot of movement through our spine under load. These exercises have proven that they can be sometimes more harmful than good. So any core exercise you'll see in my programs, we keep that spine neutral. It's the safest position for our spine, and then using different exercises will manipulate the forces placed on our spine and what muscles are required to work to build a strong, stable, rock solid core. Plank is an exercise that I love, but only when it's done correctly. You're going to do the plank test, which is to hold a plank for a minute straight. You don't have to. If you're not there yet, that's totally okay. This is an assessment, something we'll build to work towards. But with that, we don't hold for longer than a minute because really it doesn't prove anything. It's kind of useless and it can be a little dangerous. So with that, up to a minute, you're going to hold that plank, reiterate form. I have my arms shoulder width apart here. I'm going to have my shoulders right above my elbows. Feet can be together, shoulder width apart. Biggest thing is we squeeze our glutes and we're nice and strong. Core is an anti-extension exercise, so we don't want to be sitting in lumbar extension hanging onto our spine. We squeeze our glutes, they're engaged, core is engaged. We're going to hold, start that timer. We rest as needed. You go for as long as you can. You rest as needed. You're going to perform 3 sets of that plank to complete your assessment. See how long you can hold each plank for, and then from there you have a baseline to build off of. Optional test for your gym-based assessment, we have chin-ups, and you can do them whichever grip you want, underhand, neutral, or wide grip, totally up to you. My preferred grip is a neutral grip. Here I don't have that option, so I'm gonna go underhand. With that, you can go body weight if you can, or you can use a band. You could do 1 set, you could do up to 3 sets. You don't really need to test any more than 3 sets. From here, with my chin-ups, what's gonna happen is hands down, and then I'm gonna flex at my elbows. This is the width I want. So I'm gonna grab, with that full range of motion. Very important with your chin-ups, no half reps. I'm gonna hang from the bar. We have a dead hang. I'm gonna pull up till my chest touches the bar. Pull up, 1, come down. Pull up, 2, come down. Pull up, 3, come down, and so on and so forth for the amount of reps that you can do. Again, it's very important. Full lockout on the bottom, full touch of the chest at the top. That's how we count a chin-up, full range of motion. And again, you can do it with a band, without, rest as needed between sets. Good luck. The push-up test. For this test, what we're going to do is we're going to see how many push-ups you can do. You can perform the push-ups on your knees, off your knees, combination thereof, totally up to you. Let's just reiterate perfect push-up form first so we make sure we're performing those push-ups safely and effectively. Biggest thing from a side angle view, 3 things. Head up, shoulders always stay right above my wrists, and then from here, I want my glutes to be engaged nice and strong. Core is engaged, much like we would for a plank. We're going to lower down, drive 1. Lower down, drive 2. Lower down, drive 3. Same thing from the knees. Down, drive 1. Down, drive 2. From a side angle view, from a front angle view, biggest thing with push-ups, a big mistake that I see is people go a little bit too narrow with their hands. They might even point their hands in. As they come down, they lower down like this. Hard on the wrists, hard on the elbows, hard on the shoulders. You want to be much like you would with your squats. Double shoulder width apart, head is up. From here, core is engaged. We're going to lower down, and then as I get to the bottom, my forearms are pointing perpendicular into the floor. We push off, lower down, push off, lower down, push off, just like so. You see that 90 degrees at the elbow. What you're going to do is make sure your form is on point. From there, you're going to perform as many push-ups as you can. You could do just 1 set, or you could do 3 sets, resting as much as you need to in between to complete your push-up test.